Polyamory. Is it a new idea? Otham is
Aarya Sathye.
in the buzzing city of Bangalore, where startups sprouted like mushrooms and coffee-fueled conversations filled open office cafes, lived three friends, Niharika, Arjun, and Zoya. All were in their early 30s, independent, self-aware, and deeply committed to exploring life beyond the boundaries they'd inherited. Niharika was a UX designer, fiercely intelligent, emotionally grounded, and always the voice of reason in any discussion. Arjun, a climate activist and part-time guitarist, was the dreamer, the connector, and the one who wore his heart on his sleeve. Zoya, a data analyst by profession and a poet by soul, often played the silent observer until she spoke and her words lingered. The three had met at an arts and philosophy meetup 2 years ago. At first, it was casual. A chai after the event, a hike together, shared playlists. But slowly, something deeper began to emerge. It wasn't the usual story of one falling in love with another and the third left behind. Rather, all three found themselves emotionally entwined, mutual affection, mutual care, mutual attraction. One evening, seated on the terrace of Niharika's apartment under fairy lights and an open sky, Arjun nervously cleared his throat. "I need to say something, and I don't know how it will land," he said. Niharika gave him a reassuring look. "Go ahead. I think I love both of you. Deeply. Differently. And I don't want to lie to myself or either of you about it." There was silence. The city buzzed below them, but up on that terrace, time paused. Zoya leaned back. "I thought I was the only one who felt that." Niharika didn't smile immediately. She stared at her cup of green tea, then slowly said, "I've been thinking the same, but I didn't have the words for it." What followed wasn't an impulsive embrace or a dramatic confession. It was weeks of open conversation, reading, counseling, and doubt. Was this real? Was this right? Were they deluding themselves in the name of modernity? Or were they finally naming something that had always existed but had no place in traditional frameworks? Niharika's parents were shocked. "This Polly, whatever, it's just a phase," her mother said angrily. "It's lust, not love." Arjun's ex-girlfriend mocked him. "You couldn't commit to one person. So now you're calling your confusion a lifestyle?" Zoya's brother, however, surprised her. "It's new for me too," he admitted. "But if it's based on consent and honesty, who am I to judge?" The three decided to live together, not to experiment, but to truly co-create a relationship that honored all voices, all needs, and all insecurities. Polyamory wasn't a license for chaos. It required more communication than any of them had ever done before. Jealousy surfaced. Insecurities crept in. But instead of brushing them aside or hiding them, they talked and listened. Slowly, their circle of friends began to accept the arrangement not as a fad, but as a living proof that love, like art or music, didn't always follow classical structure. One day, an older colleague asked Niharika, "So, you're into polyamory now? Isn't that a new idea?" She smiled gently. "It may seem new to our culture, but love has always been infinite. We just gave it singular shapes to manage it. What we're doing isn't about rebellion, it's about honesty." The story of Niharika, Arjun, and Zoya never became a fairy tale. It wasn't free of pain, but it was alive, evolving, rooted in trust. And for them, that was more real than any script they'd been handed. Because for some, polyamory isn't a new idea. It's simply love allowed to breathe.